And you're watching Know Your Insurance right here on SSP TV. I'm your host, Jeannine Mazurkiwecz. We are back with Gary McNealis here at Allstate. And if you didn't tune in for our first show, we hit on policies for you, and we also hit on policies for the other driver. Today, we're focusing on policies for your vehicle. You can check out the first show on ssptv.com, where we have all of our shows archived if you want to take notes. But we highly suggest that you take out your automobile policy right now so you can follow along, make some notes on your policy. You might think you know a lot about your insurance until, again, you sit down and hear some of these things that you've been saying, more of the specifics throughout that policy.
Good point.
So we're going to hit on your vehicle today, right?
Yes,
Our
today we're going to cover
today.
your vehicle because that's where most of the people worry about. Most of our customers come in and say, listen, do I have this or don't I have this? And it all pretty much has to do with the car. Although this should be not totally low on your priority list, this should just be a part of it. So let's today talk about coverages for your vehicle like collision. We'll start with that. Your car is involved in an accident. There's a lot of damage. The other driver doesn't have any coverage. Or even if the other driver does have coverage, what happens? Okay, first of all, the other guy is at fault. The first place you can go to get paid for the damages to your car would be under his property damage.
Okay.
Keep in mind the state of Pennsylvania says you got to have $5,000 of property damage to protect the other guy. So if the other driver's running around with minimum coverage and you have a car that's a year old and you paid $25,000 for it, the chances are if your car's totaled, there's not going to be enough coverage. So make sure you have collision coverage. Now, what happens if you're at fault? You want to make sure you have the proper coverage on your car, and that's where the collision part of it comes in, okay? So it doesn't matter who's at fault. Should you have collision coverage on your car? Again, totally up to you, age of vehicle, how much the car is worth, but that's coverage that pays for the damages of your car. Now, one of the things that people ask us is, how do they pay a collision claim out? You know, if I have $5,000 worth of collision, I go to a body shop and they say I have $5,000 worth of damage. Is that what I'm going to get paid? Not necessarily, because the state of Pennsylvania allows carriers to use, in some cases, used parts. They allow them to do certain things in a collision situation where, you know, it's not what you say you want. Many times you can get what you want, but in many cases the law says we don't have to do that. So I would say to you, make sure that the collision part of your coverage is taken care of. The biggest part of collision is your deductible. And that's where everybody thinks, oh, that's where my cost is coming in, and what I choose is a deductible. Well, the higher deductible you choose, the less your premium will be. So if you choose a $1,000 deductible, for example, your premium could, you know, your premium would be less than as if you chose $100 for collision. But people should sit down when you're looking at your policy, first ask yourself the question, if I'm in an accident, how much can I afford? How much can I afford to put out of my pocket at one shot? Is it $500? Is it $100? What is it? And that should fall into how much your deductible should be. Because otherwise, you're going to run into a situation where you're not going to be able to afford to get your car fixed, even if it wasn't you have insurance coverage.
All right. Speaking of that, what is full coverage? Because someone walks in, they don't know a lot about their policy. Am I fully covered? That's kind of a loaded question, right?
It is very much a loaded question because people think because you have full coverage, you have everything. Full coverage, the phrase full coverage really refers to having my automobile fully covered, okay? That's really what it refers to. It doesn't refer to full tort. It doesn't refer, I mean, people can interpret it as that, but it's not. It really has to do with having your vehicle fully covered. So there's another end of that, Jeannine, and that's the comprehensive coverage. Comprehensive is damage to your vehicle from a stone hitting your windshield. Could be from a flying object. Could be your vehicle was vandalized or your vehicle was stolen. Things like that. A flood, that would be considered comprehensive coverage. That's on some people, on some companies' policy, it may be coverage that shows other than collision coverage. So remember, collision coverage is something you collide with, okay? If you're driving the car and you collide with a telephone pole, that's collision coverage, okay? If your car is in a parking lot and a car hits you, that's collision coverage. That doesn't fall under the umbrella of, or it doesn't fall under the area of vandalism, okay? Even if the driver takes off, even if the driver hits your car and takes off, it would sound like it's collision coverage, it's not, okay? Now, comprehensive would be a stone hits your windshield. Flung up stone. We do more comprehensive claims than probably anything in this area because the gravel placed on the highway in northeastern Pennsylvania for your safety, for the safety of other drivers, is really important. But the consequences are, we're driving down the road, we spin it up. It's not like we're driving, negligently, but it's on the road and it hits. So we do a lot of comprehensive claims from glass coverage. You can go anywhere from 0 comprehensive deductible up to 1,000.
Okay.
So keep in mind differences. Another part of comprehensive, hitting an animal. We do a lot of deer claim in northeastern Pennsylvania. These are really important things to know. What's your deductible? Can you handle it? When we come back, we're going to talk about some of the ways that you can help your collision deductible, a thing called deductible rewards. And many companies, there's many different phrases or terminology for that, but I want to talk about deductible rewards because it's very important. You can actually have your deductible go down even though you're paying for a higher amount. And I think that's something that we're going to focus on.
And there's also tips that you're going to give us that you might not see in your policy, but there are benefits that Gary can talk to us about. You're watching Know Your Insurance on SSP TV. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're watching Know Your Insurance right here on SSP TV. If you're just tuning in, we're talking about insurance policies for your vehicle today. All of our Know Your Insurance shows are found at www.ssptv.com. All you have to do is click on shows and Know Your Insurance, and you could follow up on the other shows that we had on policies for you and the other driver, right?
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of information, and I know we rebroadcast the show several times, but you really need to go through it and make some notes and have your questions in order to either ask you or, again, another insurance company.
Yeah, and let me add that if you have a question specifically, again, you do not have to be a customer, you do not have to call and want to purchase something. Don't hesitate to either call me or email me. My phone number is 570-454-1981 or Gary J. McNealis at allstate.com. We talked about collision and comprehensive, Jeannine, and we want to talk about ways to help that deductible.
Right, lowering the deductible, right?
Yes, there are companies that offer coverage, ways to vanish your deductible. And I say vanish, not take it down to 0. In the state of Pennsylvania, keep in mind, the lowest you can pay for a collision claim is $100. So no matter what your deductible rewards, no matter what comes down your way, you're still going to pay $100 if you use your collision part of your coverage.
Okay.
Comprehensive, you can have as low as 0. So this deductible reward is usually a reward that comes back to you for time that you are with a company and don't have an accident. For example, we have one that every 6 months, you don't get in an accident, we'll add $100 to your rewards program to credit your collision. So if you're paying for $500 and you're into the policy 2 renewal or 2 years, that's 4 renewals, you're down to $100 deductible, okay, just by not having accidents. Sometimes that costs a little bit more money, but I'll tell you what, if for those people who really have a tough time and say, you know what, I'd really like to be rewarded for not having an accident, that's a big, big factor. Does your policy, and I would say pull out your policy and look at it, does it have anything that says deductible rewards or lowering deductible? And if it doesn't, ask your agent. Again, it's important to have. Going back to that part of, again, full coverage, this is something you need to know. If you're buying a vehicle, many people have old vehicles today, and they drop the collision because it's not worth it to keep it. The car's 15 years old, has a lot of miles on it, they take their collision coverage off their policy. Now it's time, the car's old, they want to go buy a new car. Well, when you go to buy a new car, if you're financing it, you are required now to have collision and comprehensive. The caution that I would throw out there is that's a costly item. Your premium does go up, not drastically, but it does go up. And you need to know that that's something you got to pay for, because the loan company wants to protect their interests, and they require you to carry that coverage on the car. Many people don't, they want to try to avoid that today, and it's impossible to avoid if you're financing the car.
Okay.
So that's real important.
They want to make sure that when they're looking at their deductibles, rewards, you look on those policies. I keep stressing to pull out your policies because I wish I had my policy here right now, and look to see if they offer any reward programs for your deductible. Maybe people don't know about it.
Right.
Okay, so what should we check also in our policies? What are some other things we should look for in our policies?
Okay. I would say the first thing you want to look at are the benefits that are going to show up real easily. Rental coverage. You get in a car accident, now you don't have a car to use. Do you have a replacement car? How, do you have another car in your policy? Do you have is there a member of your family who can provide a car? If not, you need to make sure you have rental coverage on your policy. Rental coverage provides you a replacement car. Okay, usually up to 30 days, and it could be longer. Provide you a replacement car for the car you're driving to use while your car is being repaired.
Okay, so that's something we see on our policy.
Right, rental coverage. Towing would be another one. Okay, towing and labor. A lot of people look at towing and say, well, if I get, I'm not worried about getting my car towed. Well, what if it's wintertime and we've just, we've experienced this in the last few months. A lot of cars, the batteries go because the cold weather has really, it just weathered a lot. So the towing and labor part of your policy would cover that in most cases. Send out a service to come out, jumpstart your car no matter where you're at. What if you lock your keys in the car? Is that a coverage you want to have? Is that important? Many people say, you know what, I want to make sure I have it for my son or my daughter or for my wife or for my husband or whatever. That's coverage to make sure you have it on the policy. If you have towing and labor, chances are you have coverage that'll cover you in a situation where you locked your keys in the car. Sometimes it doesn't cover it all because maybe the locksmith has to drive far or the towing service, but it provides a coverage for that. And I would say make sure you have that on there, or make sure you have a way to that you have coverage elsewhere to provide. Coverages that you can see on the policy, one big one is new car replacement.
Okay.
And it would be listed. What happens if you're driving a newer car, 2 to 3 years out, model years, and your car's in an accident? What is the insurance company going to do? Ask the question and know the answer if you have a newer car. How will my insurance company pay for my car? Will they just pay me what they call actual cash value? Because if your car's in a collision and it's totaled, Jeannine, you want to make sure that your replacement car are you going to be able to afford to buy another one?
Right.
New car replacement guarantees that your car will be replaced with a new model year, current model year, replacing that old vehicle. And I say old vehicle, it has to be within 2 to 3 model years.
Okay.
From where we're at.
Lots more to talk about. Know Your Insurance here on SSP TV. Again, if you have any questions, you could contact Gary at the numbers on your screen. He's also on social media, as are we here at SSP TV. We'll be right back. We're going to wrap up with more tips here that can save you money on your insurance. Watching Know Your Insurance right here on SSP TV, and we're with Gary McNealis of Allstate. We're talking about auto insurance and auto insurance policies. Really, you should be getting those out and looking them over because it's so detailed, and you really could be missing something in your policy until you need to use that part of your policy, and then what? So then it's too late, right?
Absolutely.
So you just need to know what your options are, which there are so many options listed here. I know today we're talking about insuring our policies for our vehicles, but we also talked about our policies for ourselves and for the other drivers in the first show. Again, our shows are available at www.ssptv.com, where all of our shows are archived, so you can get all the information there as well. Right?
Yeah.
So we're
absolutely.
focusing on what we should check on our policy. Some things are black and white, but other things you might not even think of asking or noticing.
So far, we talked about things you could see. You'll be able to, they're written right in there. These are things now that you may not be able to see. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because right now, everyone's looking for the best bargain they can.
Right.
So they go out there and shop, and they bring their policy, show another agent, say, okay, give me coverage for coverage. And there are things in there that they just have no idea, they don't know they have, and the other agent doesn't know they have, and they've given it up. One of my very good friends, this happened about 2 months ago, had a policy with us. He had what's called platinum coverage, and the platinum coverage gives him unlimited accident forgiveness. It gives him deductible reward, so his deductible was down to 100. He was paying for 500, by the way. Okay, actually, he's paying for 600, and I'll touch on that. And he was getting a check every 6 months for not having an accident.
Sure.
Forgot all about that. All he saw was what it was. Went out and shopped. Said, okay, I got a better deal. Didn't even, when I say didn't even call, in our review process, we missed it. He didn't pick up on it. Well, he replaced his policy and gave it all up. Didn't know. Of course, he got a bargain. He got it, he saved $100. He got a bargain. But didn't realize that if he got in an accident, if the new policy now, he gets in an accident, and he's going to be surcharged. He's going to lose his claim-free discount, and he's going to be surcharged. So one of the things I would say to look in your policy for, look to see if you have accident forgiveness. Sometimes it's not worded as accident forgiveness. Like in our policies, it's listed as gold package or platinum package.
Right.
Okay? If it is, there's something there. You're getting something for it. You may not have had to use it yet, and thank goodness you haven't. But in the, it is, if you're buying insurance for the true reason of peace of mind, then you want to make sure that you know what you're giving up, because accident forgiveness is peace of mind. What happens if I'm in an accident and I'm at fault? Well, guess what? Now you see your rates go up. If you pay a little bit up front, pennies on the dollar, you can avoid that. And that's very, very important. The deductible rewards. Sometimes the policy reads 500 or 600 or 1,000, but the rewards are somewhere else. Usually they're not written right under the collision amount. So I would say, make sure you know, do you have rewards? How much of them do you have? Because if you have $500 in deductible rewards, think about, before you give up that policy, think about what you can do. Because if you're going to save money with a new policy, maybe you can raise your deductible to $1,000. Right. And if you've got 500 deductible rewards, your deductible is still only 500 anyway. Okay, that's saving money. It's sometimes you just don't realize what you've got. Okay, there's another thing that many people have had because they're with a company for so long. They've got their policy with any given company for so long. There's this thing called a guaranteed renewal. And what that means is they cannot be canceled for any reason. When I say any reason, other than like a DUI, the company can't come along and say, okay, you've had 2 accidents within a 3-year period, we're going to go ahead and cancel you. And there are some very prominent companies in the state of Pennsylvania who will do just that. You have 2 accidents, they're at fault, they exceed what they call the threshold, they will drop you like that. Wow. Okay. Now, am I saying those companies are bad? I'm not. No. What I am saying to you is, if you've got a policy that doesn't do that, and then you have one that does, think about it. Think about it. Is it something, is that peace of mind, is that something that's very important to you? Is the exchange for $100 or $200 that you're saving, is it worth it to give that up? So look at your policy. Do you know that? Is the agent, or does the agent who you're working with to replace the coverage, do they look at that? Do they provide advice, or do they look to just sell you something? Advice is very important. Look for proper advice because, again, when you need it most, that's when you've got to have it and have the right protection.
Safe driver check.
Safe driver check, I'm glad you went into that one. Many people have, we call it our platinum package. Mm-hmm. If you have the platinum package, you pay a little bit more for it, but it returns somewhere around 5% every 6 months you go without an accident.
Right.
And all that is a reward for not having an accident. Besides that $100 that they took off your deductible or the reward that they credit you, they give you a check for 5% of your premium. Okay. Great thing to have, but don't forget that. Sometimes, you get that check and say, oh, they're just giving it. You know what? If you have a big policy, if you're paying an insurance company $2,000 every 6 months, and many people do because they have a lot of cars, they have young drivers, that's $100. That's a lot of money that that you're missing. Absolutely.
We wanted to hit quickly on the kindness revolution because this is something that we mention every show, and it's something that your company is involved with just to give back to the community.
Yep, it's just a reminder to everyone to do something nice every single day that you can. Do something nice for others. Take the time to say thank you to someone who's done something right for you, something nice for you. Take the time to say, you know what, you've just done something nice. How about paying it forward? And again, don't forget the black. Again, it's a silly piece of rubber, but just a reminder to get the wristbands. They're free. Please don't hesitate to stop in our office in the 22nd Street Plaza. We'd be happy to give them to you. It would make our day. And look us up on Facebook. You'll see, the Kindness Revolution. I will say to you that it's something that just reminds you to give to someone else. Pay it forward. It doesn't have to be $1 million. It doesn't have to be something big. It's just a little thing. It's sometimes having some patience. And, Lord knows we try that every day. We all need a little bit of patience. Sometimes it's driving down the highway, and boy, I'm guilty of looking at the other driver who's just pulled out in front of you and saying, wow, instead of wanting to say something crazy, say something nice, or think something nice, or beep your horn, or someone who's giving you the gesture that you don't want to see. Maybe just turn around and give them a smile, and that's something to put a price tag on, but it may mean the difference in your day and their day.
I'm glad you mentioned being on the road, because on our next show we're going to talk about those teenage drivers and how technology has really, it could be an asset, but can be dangerous for everybody. We're talking about texting and driving and distracted driving, right? We're going to talk about that on our next show. All right, if you have any questions, again, you could email or call Gary right here at Allstate. You could check out our website at www.ssptv.com. All our shows will be listed there, including Know Your Insurance. We hope you join us next time.